Good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, all of you. Good evening, Rakhi. A very, very good evening to everyone in this live session where we are going to discuss about the UPSC Indian Economic Service paper, the General Economics-2 paper today. And we're going to discuss some very, very interesting things that happened this year in this year's paper. So I hope that you all are ready for this discussion. Hi, good evening, Rudita. A very good evening, everyone. And before we start the session, we are also going to, discuss about how general economics to paper is important from not just the perspective of how we can analyze it or because we are discussing it today, so obviously it's important, but we also are going to discuss it from the perspective of how you can learn it. Okay, because general economics 2 paper has a very long syllabus, and this syllabus of course is very you might be a little anxious about it, you might be a little apprehensive about it. So we are going to discuss all of those things also today. Hello Bushra, hi Munshiram, hello Akshat, good evening everyone. I'm really happy to see you all here today, and like I said, we are going to discuss the Indian Economic Service General Economics 2 paper today, and we are today going to understand the paper from a very objective point of view, and we are going to identify what really happened this year, what was interesting this year, and how can you build your information base and knowledge base for the next year. If you're preparing for the next year and you're targeting the next year's Indian Economic Service examination as an economics aspirant, then I believe that this discussion will definitely help you in identifying those core areas where you have to narrow down your information, you have to narrow down your knowledge base, you have to narrow down your you know um, studies basically. Okay, so hi, good evening. Okay, I'm going to do is I'm also going to keep on discussing and shifting my focus at point in time to the chat box also, because you might be interested in asking a certain query about the general economics 2 paper. Okay, so I will take those discussions and I will those take those chats as well, but let's first start with general economics 2 paper and how you need to study about it. Quickly, in just 5 minutes, let's have a quick review of that first. General economics 2 paper syllabus is large, syllabus is huge, and which is why it makes it furthermore difficult to analyze. Many a times students have complained that they are getting a little anxious, and they are getting a little taxed down just because the syllabus is huge. Where should we start our study from? So all of those questions come, and I'm sure that you also might be having those questions too. So let's first identify how you need to prepare, because the syllabus is large and because there are many modules basically clubbed into the whole paper. So you need to focus on one how one of the module or few modules are going to build your information for the other modules. Okay, let's take for example the theory of economic thought, or the module of economic thought. Right now, tell me in the chat box, how many of you fret or are afraid from economic thought module? Tell me, how many of you are afraid from economic thought, that how you're going to study so many theories and concepts at once, how you're going to study all of those things at once, how you're going to manage to drive notes, all of those things. Okay, so tell me that first, right? And then, of course, we are going to continue with this information and discussion too. Yes, anyone who is afraid of economic thought? Okay, I'm waiting for students to write in their chat box. If you're not afraid, you can also write that as well. It's okay. I'm just curious in knowing one of the interest areas so that I can, tell you more about how you can build on that syllabus. Okay, so okay, economic theories are fun. Rishabh, if you feel that economic theories are fun, then that's really interesting because you can build on that subject and you can easily go for economic development module also because it's also all theories are there basically, right? Not afraid. Okay. Rutita is not afraid. She finds it little interesting, I believe. Right. Now, most of the students like economic thought. Most of the students, and it's an easier perspective because you are learning something of a theory perspective. You are learning theory, you are learning, a certain idea in economics. So, definitely it will be interesting. And maybe not today, but tomorrow it will develop into a certain interest, right? Now, something that you need to understand is that economic thought module, if you are well averse and you like that module, then you can develop your interest and study base for the module of economic growth and development too. So these two modules get done together. Okay, take them together. That way you will not have to go back and forth that okay, you are learning caldor in economic thought and then again you're learning it in microeconomics and again you're learning in growth and development. You will not have to do that, right? You need to understand that in the syllabus wherever you find repetitions, do it once all together and make that clear at once so that you will not have trouble in understanding that particular topic again and again, right? Same way, I would like to take international economics. Now, international economics is a very long module. If you look at it from the perspective of, firstly, international economics is all about theories. Okay, then you have a real time action, which is your BOP, understanding that deficits, BOP, equilibrium, all of that. And then finally, you also have international organizations. Okay. Now, many a times students think that international organizations are not that important. See, in most of the competitive exams, they often ask these topics, so they will not pass in Indian Economic Services. But on the contrary, this year's paper is like a justification to all of those myths that international organizations are not important. International organizations are very important, especially from this contemporary era where um, international trade, internationalization of everything, globalization, all of these things are happening around the world. We are, it's high time that we cannot say that a country can develop in alienation. No, it cannot. It will not thrive, and you all have seen it. We all are spectators of it, that how globalization changes the face of every specific thing, whether it's technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it is a certain industry, whether it is food and beverages industry, whether it is services. It changes the face of everything very very quickly, right? So understanding that is very important. Okay, and students who may have not given enough identification to these topics must have not fared well, or in this year's paper, because they had given relative base of all of these topics, right? Okay, now coming down to the question paper. Now you can see the question paper over here. Obviously, every year the question paper has certain topics which repeat. Okay, not every topic will repeat, but there are certain topics. For example, ISLM, you cannot leave ISLM, okay? Because ISLM, you cannot identify an Indian Economic Service paper without the concept of ISLM, right? It's a very important topic, right? From the concept to the theory to the slope to elasticity to everything to equilibrium to everything. ISLM is a huge important topic. So, of course, there will be a question, and there was a question, right? So, remember that certain topics which repeat, there are certain topics which will always will repeat. For example, the topic of sustainable development. Okay, you all know how sustainable development is so important. We have been learning it since our school times, right? You all must have heard about it the first time in your environmental studies paper in school, and it eventually got bigger and better and more important. And if you now look at it, it is the talk of the town. It is the talk of the hour. Um, Not just environmentalists, but economists, theorists, international relations representatives, all of them are talking about sustainable development. And they will do that more and more and more in the forthcoming years because of the gravity of situation. So can you leave sustainable development topic? No, you cannot. So you need to understand that even if there is a certain topic which has been given in the syllabus and there are just two small words, sustainable development, does not mean that you do not have to give enough weightage to that topic, because it can be asked in a 5 marker, in a 10 marker, and even in a 15 marker question, right? Because it has so much of content there, correct? I hope that you all are understanding what I'm saying. I hope that you all are, thinking from that perspective for all of you all, because this time we have started, many of you must have also attended Preet ma'am's session yesterday, where we had discussed about the general economics 1 paper and the and some of the very important questions that had appeared this time. Okay, so in that same trail, I would like to add this, that we are going to have detailed versions of the paper discussions, PYQ discussions, which we always have in the classes, right? So on the Ecoholics app, you will definitely get these things in detail, right? And which is why you must, if you're an aspirant, if you're an economics student, then you should start attending these lectures, start taking down notes, and start your preparation from today. That will definitely help you build your good foundation for the next year, right? All right, okay. So I hope that you all can see this particular paper properly, okay, and read the paper properly. Okay, I'm just making it a little zoomed in so that you all can read it also properly. Hi Rishabh. Yeah, there will be a certain session for GS as well as English, but they are, both of these sessions are going to be on the app itself, so you all can attend those sessions from the app itself. Okay. For the live session part, for now, for the schedule, we have the lineup of GE1, which we already had yesterday, and then today GE2, and then the next weekend we have GE3 and GE4 by different subject experts. Okay, so you better be attending those. And GS and English, of course, we are going to have those discussions on the app, so you can attend it from the app, right? Okay, now we are going to pin down some very, very interesting questions that had come this year. Okay, let's talk about the 5 marker questions. These are all of the 6 5 marker questions. Okay, that need to be attended. Right now, the very first question, if you look at it, you all must have studied the theory of dialectical materialism, which was given by Karl Marx, right? And the Marxian thought of materialism, dialectical materialism, history of dialectical materialism, all of that, okay? But nobody thought that this also could be a question. Now, for you, you just need to write a one paragraph for this question. Basically, 100 words means what? Only one paragraph, right? They just want you to give them a gist of what you know about dialectical materialism and dialectical idealism. Okay? If you are not able to differentiate it clearly, it's okay. If you are not able to make that T table, it's okay. You know, you usually do not need to make the T table formation if sorry, sorry, my bad. That was Siri. Okay. So, yeah. So, if you are not able to make that T table solution and give your, answer, it's completely all right. You are not needed to do that in a 5 marker. In a 5 marker, you just need to write a small paragraph, okay? A summary, a gist of whatever has been asked. Just be direct, be to the point, and answer the question. Okay. Now, dialectical materialism and dialectical idealism. All of those students who stated that they really are interested in economic thought. Now, this is a curveball for you all, because even after knowing economic thought, reading economic thought, you might not identify or you might not think that such a question may appear, such a question may come, right? So here is a twisted affair. Here is a twist that you may get. Okay, but do not worry. It's all right. Okay, even if you don't completely know the question, still it's all right, because ultimately you just need to write a small paragraph about it. Correct? Now, when we talk about dialectical materialism, you can always talk about the philosophical framework which was given by Marxian theory, okay, and the materialistic conditions of the society, of the various economic factors, the class struggle, all of that comes under dialectical materialism that I believe you already know about, right? You already know about dialectical materialism. In contrast to that, if you're talking about dialectical idealism, now idealism is a philosophy of ideas where the approach is just about the ideas. It just emphasizes on the aspect of ideas, how ideas can be conceived, what is the philosophy of consciousness, okay, or how do we shape the reality, okay. So it's moreover bigger philosophy than dialectical materialism. Dialectical materialism is restricted to economic factors and philosophy is related to the materialistic world, but idealism is a much bigger perspective. Okay, so you need to read more in essence of how they are looking at a certain topic. You cannot end your journey if you like economic thought, or if you're reading economic thought. You cannot just end your journey of study by just looking at the syllabus and typing down the topics and looking at the different books and material. You have to go a little deeper and churn your brain. That way you will have a better idea on how to write about these topics. Okay? Yes? If there are any questions regarding this particular discussion, you can just type in the chat box. Okay? No questions till now? Nothing? We can move forward, right? Another question that really interested me, or that I found that was a very interesting take um, on on the concepts, was the question number three, or the part C, basically. Justify that thriftiness is not a boon but a bane in the capitalist economy. Okay, the keywords over here is just thriftiness and capitalist economy. Just these two words. Now, do you remember anything, any theory that you have read from the word thrift, by the word thrift? Have you heard any economy, any economic theory? Yes, in the chat box, quickly tell me, have you heard any theory related to thriftiness, thrift? Yes, Manas, which theory have you read? Yes, come on. Don't search anywhere. Don't search on any website about it. Quickly answer. This is a live discussion, okay? And I want quick answers. So, have you heard any topic in economics, okay, which starts from the word thriftiness, okay? And if you have heard, what is that topic? Come on, tell me quickly. Yes, anyone? All right, okay. No issues, no problem. Uh, have you heard about the theory of, or the paradox of thrift? I'm sure that you must have heard about this. The paradox of thrift. Recently, we had also uploaded a short, summarized video of paradox of thrift on the YouTube channel. Okay, and I'm very sure that while learning about macroeconomics, you must have heard this term. Now, paradox of thrift, whoever knows about it, paradox of thrift was given by John Maynard Keynes. This was a concept which was given by Keynes, and Keynes actually was inclined towards a capitalist economy, or you can say that an economy which also has which is run by the government also, and the government takes the authority to take the responsibility of the variety of forces that apply to demand and supply. And of course, we also talk about effective demand. Okay, so over here there are two three topics which have been combined, and that is the interesting take about this question. Okay, so you have to learn to understand a topic, or a question. You have to look at the keywords, what are the keywords, and then you have to identify where have I read it and what have I read it about this. Okay, if we talk about thriftiness in the economy, what can be seen about thriftiness? Thriftiness means you save more and you don't consume more. Now, obviously, if it's a capitalist economy, it's a demand driven economy. In a demand driven economy, if savings are more, then what will happen? If savings are more, then automatically consumption will be lesser. And if the consumption is less, that will lead to lesser demand, and lesser effective demand will just crash the capitalist economy. So it is not a boon but a bane. Correct? Now, this is a simple concept which has been given as a curveball. Usually what happens, students mix the grammatical and the way in which the sentence has been formulated, and they get so much focused in understanding the sentence that they fail to take down the keywords. That अच्छा simple keywords हैं. These are simple keywords. I just have to identify what logic is true over here and write a small answer. Many a times what happens is a easy 5 marker question becomes a difficult one, and students just leave it कि ठीक है, we will attempt more higher marker questions, but there you have low chances of getting more marks. Here you have more chances of getting full marks. You know that what I mean? So you have to also trick your mind into thinking logically during that paper, during those 3 hours. Okay, are you getting my point? Yes, am I making sense to you all? Yes or no? Come on, answer me in the chat box. Yes. Similarly, I told you about sustainable development. Now, there is also a concept of inclusiveness of a green economy. Now, here also, what they have just done, explain the inclusiveness of a green economy. They have given it in a different way. What they mean is just you need to write down about inclusiveness, inclusivity, and you need to write it about the green economy. So your brain needs to only focus on 2 things. Do not focus on the whole sentence, otherwise the grammar, the philosophy, the sentence structure, everything will bug you, and then everything will start, you will start getting anxious about, okay, what should I write about it? Have they asked me something different, or am I going the right direction? All of those thoughts come into picture. So don't let those thoughts come to you, and of course you will sail through. Correct? Right? Even in the concept of now, tell me, who will tell me what you will write in inclusiveness of a green economy? What are you going to write about it? Yes, inclusiveness of a green economy. What will you write? Come on, who will tell me? Yes, so many of you are in the live session. You should start making that interaction. Don't be afraid, okay? If you give a wrong answer, also, I'm there to correct you. I'm there to help you out. Okay, so don't worry and be afraid in giving a wrong answer, okay, or any answer. Okay, come on, quickly. What will you write when you are asked, explain the inclusiveness of a green economy? Okay, just give me some keywords. What are you going to include in that? What are you going to include in that answer? Meanwhile, I'll go to the I'll go to this question. This was also a very interesting question, which I think that would have bugged many minds because it was given in a very tricky fashion. Okay. Okay. Yes. Whoever wants to answer this question, you're most welcome in the chat box. Don't be afraid, Baba. Okay, I'm here to help you out. Even if you go wrong, don't worry. It's all right. Okay. Let's move quickly to the F part, which was again a very interesting one. Explain how international trade affects the sustainable development adversely. International trade, sustainable development. Again, 2 keywords only. Okay. You just need to identify these 2 keywords. Now, what have they asked? How does the international trade affect the sustainable development in a adverse manner? Okay. Or in a problem. There is a certain issue with international trade that affects the sustainable development badly. Okay. That's what you need to look at. Okay, so here there are so many reasons why you can how you can answer the question. Now this I call as a trap question because this is a simple question. It's a simple question. And many a times what happens, students get carried away and write 5 to 10 points in detail. However, you just have to write a summary of whatever you understand in 100 words or under 100 words. Otherwise, your marks can be deducted because you are going overboard with your words. Okay, it's a 5 marker. So don't get carried away in simple questions. You have been asked about sustainable development and how international trade affects it badly. Oh my god, I have so many points to write. Don't do that. Write only 3 to 4 or maximum 5 points, good points which are logical to you, and when you read it twice they are actually logical. Write only those. Okay, you can write about how natural resources can be excavated. They are being there are mining issues and problems due to that. You can write about trade imbalances. Okay, you can write about the inequalities that it creates. Okay, you can write about social, economic, different types of inequalities in 1 point only. Okay, so these are certain hints that I am trying to give, but you need to cover the question in a gist. Okay, and always have a tight packing of your answer, especially the 5 marker. Correct? So that was the most interesting part that I found in the first question, where you had to write the answer in under 100 words. Okay, now let's come to the next part. Okay, now here there are about 9 questions. They have to be answered in about 200 words, which is moreover two paragraphs. Okay, two medium sized paragraphs is something that you need to write. Okay, so these questions are of 15 marks each. Okay, but you need to understand that even if it's a 15 marker, you just have to write under 200 words. So do not get emotional about a certain question. Okay, now few things that for example, there was a question of random walk, there was a question over physical quality of life index. I mean, these are all the questions that we have done in the classroom program, and most of the students who have attended that will successfully write the topics nicely. But for a student who has just started studying for these topics, may find it a little problematic, or initially you may get a little anxious that how you're going to cover all of these topics. So uh, don't indulge in that worry. Okay, in the second part, most of the questions were very expected questions. There was nothing that was not expected. For example, explain and justify critically how Booleanism as a strategy strengthens the domestic economy. Booleanism is something that is studied very initially when you talk about economic thought. When you talk about macroeconomics, this is something that we study initially. Okay, even in international economics we study it initially. So the concept is clear. Something that you need to identify as a keyword is justify critically. Critically you have to justify. Okay, so you have to justify the statement that yes, Booleanism as a strategy strengthens the domestic economy, and you have to give some very critically important points. Now, what are these critical points? Those points or those things without which the whole objective cannot work, without which it will not work. Okay, for example, there is a law of demand, simple law of demand, but without the assumptions of ceteris paribus or what are the main parameters of law of demand, it will not work, because then there is exceptions to law of demand, then there are different theories which do not which are not exactly how law of demand is written. So in economics, you need to know that if there's something that will not completely work without the X factor, that becomes the critical factor. So that is something that you need to write in the answer when you have been given this keyword. Okay, there is a list of keywords where critically examine, okay, explain, the difference between explain, elaborate, elucidate, all of that we have made a list, and we have also made the logic on how you have to put these, terms, how you need to understand these terms, okay, on the app itself. Okay, they are just free, you can just download it from the app. And also in the classes we tell, during the answer writing sessions and mentorships, we tell on how you write to, how you need to understand these critical terms, important terms. Okay, so make sure that you're going on the app and just downloading it. You just have to just click on the download button, and you have to just download it and look at it, how it's different. Okay, you will definitely find various important things. Okay, now GDP versus any other developmental index is something that is always a welcoming question. Sometimes they ask about GDP versus GNP, sometimes they ask about green GDP, this time they have given physical quality of life index. Okay, someday they can also give gender inequality index. Okay, so you need to be prepared with those topics also. Okay, then Keynesian, Keynesianism, monetarism, classical, these schools are the foundations of macroeconomics. These are pillars of macroeconomics. You cannot just go without learning that. Okay, and there is of course ample amount of time right now. If you're preparing for the next year's attempt, start doing it now. Okay, you need to know everything about the classical school, about the neoclassical school, about the new Keynesian, Keynesian, what is the difference between Keynesian and new Keynesian? Okay, all of that. Okay, so all of these topics, the rational expectations, adaptive expectations, all of these topics have been already given in detail in the uh, this batch also, last year's batch also, we did a certain mentorship where we did these topics indefinitely, and of course now they are there in the question paper too, so it's an interesting thing, that we are headed to the right direction, so it's nice. Okay, then okay, there was, see, financial, they have asked about global financial crisis and World Bank, important role of World Bank in fighting global poverty. Initially, while I had started the session, I had told you all that these are the topics that students usually state that, okay, I'll do it in the last. But if you leave it for the last, usually it's not done completely, and then such 15 marker questions, you have to lose your marks to such simple questions. Okay, so in my intellect, the second part, the section B, was lengthier. Okay, the first part was not lengthy, it was just a, you just had to write the gist of the things, because the topics were very very core and simple, but they had just given it in a twisted format. And in section B, you just had to write all of those things that you had learned, but in a more elaborative way. And this was a lengthier part. Okay, the lengthiest part of actually the whole three sections that you had. So if you could choose which questions to do first and which could have been done later, so I believe question number 9 was to be done first, because it's a simple numerical. Okay, you just have to find out how that X factor will increase, will what will be the increase in the GDP. Okay, so you just had to do a simple calculation, and you would have given full marks for this, because there is no subjectivity in this question, so usually the marks will not be cut in such questions. Okay, over any lengthy question, if for example you are doing a question like question number 7, it can take more of your time because you have to think about the neoclassical approach, then you have to look at the impact, and gradually you have to build the answer. It takes time. So always remember that even in the paper, you have a choice of first doing what you can, you can fetch more marks on, and then gradually move towards the later one, the other one. Okay. Other than that, most of the questions were very expected questions. Okay. Coming to the last section where you had 6 questions, and they are heavy on the word limit. Okay, here you have to be really, really elaborative. Usually in this section, what they do is they combine 2 to 3 similar questions so that it becomes like a huge question to look at. But it's the same concept, and you just have to elaborate, keep on elaborating. For example, in question number 11, how is the level of income and rate of interest determined simultaneously in the ISLM model? Or this is simple, just you have to write the ISLM model. Second question is explain the condition of stability. So what needs to be done is just elaborate the ISLM model and just then find the stability conditions, just write in points. Okay, so attempting such questions is um, easy if you plan your answer ahead. Okay, if you just start doing start writing the answer in the question paper, there are possibilities that you are not going to attempt all the questions because this paper is lengthy one. Okay, you have to write a lot, right? So here you can you know you can get a little disbalanced, but you have to be cool and plan your answer ahead and then write precisely. Okay, even if you're not able to complete your 300 words, it's all right. Okay, something around 250 words is also fine for a 300 words answer, but the content should be correct, the content should be there, whatever is asked. Okay, this time they have just given very, very direct questions. If you look at this ISLM, a very direct one. Tobin portfolio balance approach, very direct, very, very direct from the syllabus. AK model endogenous theory, very direct. Okay, growth, one of the growth theories, endogenous model, very, very direct. Okay, sometimes they ask Romer's theory and sometimes AK model. So this time they have asked AK model, right? And then AK Sain's capability approach, again very direct, very, very direct. Okay, and very theoretical. Okay, just have to write theory, theory, theory. So here it can tax your energy because there's so much of theory to write. Okay, and that's why I was saying that you have to save some of your energy in planning. That way you can get the best out of your answers. Okay, Heckscher-Ohlin, again, like I said, ISLM was one of the universal truths of any economics paper. Heckscher-Ohlin is also another one because no international economics paper can go without Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So yes, HO model is there, whether and it's a very direct question, you just have to explain it. Okay, the last question, the question number 16, is the question where I believe was the trickier part. Okay, because they had complicated this whole statement. Okay, like always, they have played with the grammar and they have complicated the whole statement a bit. But simply, if you think about it simply, you can get the answer. Okay, I'm really sorry. Few of the chats got missed out because probably there was a certain Wi-Fi issue with my phone. So I'm just going to take it down. Okay. Um, Rudita has mentioned few examples that India has taken, like green hydrogen. Okay, you have answered that question of green economy. Yeah, yes. Green economy, green hydrogen, renewability, all of those things, renewable energy, all of those things can be included. Ashwini has mentioned all that is included in the green economy and how it has helped the economy grow. Yes, simply. Simple question, simple answer. Just identify the keywords and answer. Okay. And then, um, okay. wherever I form an answer, it generally tends to be a normative answer. Should it be more towards the reality, or should also tend to very good question, very good question. Um, Rishabh, okay. So Rishabh, usually when we write theory paper, usually it happens that because there's so much of theory to write, and because there are two models which are complete theory in itself. The international economics also has a major module of theory in it. It happens that your objectivity loses a bit, and you start building on a third person philosophical mode. You start taking that journey of a philosophy. But like I said, planning is important. If you just look at the question, quickly identify, okay, these are the keywords. Brain is a very great, your brain is a very good technician. So if you just identify for that brain, these are the words that you have to identify. Only capability approach is something that you need to identify, or only action olin explain, then start writing the answer. That way your objectivity will sustain, and you will not write like a philosophical answer. You will not beat behind the bush. You will not just keep on going round and about to an answer, and you will be writing the precise one. Okay, so that's something that you should note. In how many pages we can write 20 marks question, beta? You what happens in a UPSC examination, you are given a space. Not too many pages are given for a 20-mark question. Okay, you have been given like a 2 page. Okay, and that's also cut short from the margin side. So you have a small page. You, even if you start pushing down your font size to a smaller one, usually students do that. कि ठीक है, I will write in a very packed font so that I can stuff in more sentences and more content, but don't do that. Only answer what is required. If you have that urge of writing more, stop it right now and start practicing your answer writing. Okay, there's a certain there's a Indian Economic Service test series also, which is going to just soon start. Okay, so that this is a very real issue, because students actually are very confused on how you need to build an answer, and whether they are going in the right direction or not. So I think it's very important that you get that. Okay, so if you really struggle with that, then the test series is for you. You should just start writing the answers, get your copies evaluated, where there are remarks written for each and every paragraph in detail, what you did right and what you did wrong, so that your direction will be set fine. Okay, and once your direction is right, then of course you can take a better journey. Okay. Oh, right. Then there's one more question I'll take, and then we will wrap with this session. Um, Yes, Rudhita, of course, the carbon border tax, these are current affair concepts. If you can pack these concepts in an answer, it will be more than better, because that way you can show off a bit of your skills, but don't show off more, okay? Only what is required. If unnecessarily you are putting current affairs, then it will not go, okay? Usually current affairs you can, mention in 15 marker and 20 marker question, because there you have bigger space to write and bigger content to build. In a 5 marker question, usually what you need to do is just be direct and answer to the question in the most precise manner. Okay, whatever you understand from that question, just answer that. It's something that, if for example in an interview you have been asked about something, and you go on and on and on about it, the interviewer is going to get bored. So 5 marker question is something like that. You just have to give a gist of it, just brief about it. Ki haan, theek hai, you know this concept and you have written about it. Only in one paragraph. That's it. Okay, or in some bullet points if it's required then. most of these content building things have to be done in a 15 marker and 20 marker question. Okay, right. All right. So I think that is it for today, and a detailed PYQ session and a detailed answer writing session is happening continuously on a regular basis on the app, okay, for which all the required information you can get on the website, or you can just call the number 7880107880, where you can get all the information about it. You can also get information about the test series that is going to start soon, even the new batch of Indian Economic Services, which is going to start soon if you want to enroll. So, all of these things are there for you, okay? We are there for you, and all the subject experts are also regularly managing the mentorship sessions. So, every month we have a certain mentorship session in each of the batches where not just answer writing but answer building is taught, even for GS and English papers. Okay, although core focus is on economics, but GS and English is something that you cannot just forget, correct? So this is also taken on the app. Okay, so I'm sure that if you are an enthusiast of economics and if you have that yearn to become an economics officer and serve the country and change the economic policies for the better, then I believe that you must try this examination, because it's something that has a lot of potential. Okay, not just from the perspective of um, reputation. Usually students perceive UPSC for reputation, but that's not it. It's much beyond that. It's passion for economics that will drive you to this examination. And each day you will learn about this topic, this particular examination. You will have more and more enthusiasm and interest. You will build on that interest. And of course, you will, look for more. So I think that's something that you all should look out for. Okay, and that's it for today. And like I said, the detailed sessions will be on app for each and every, not just this year's, but like the last 3 to 5 years we discuss in the on the app. So stay tuned for that. Okay, and if you want those sessions, then of course you can get some help from the counselors. Okay, there are many counselors out there as well. Just dial on 7880107880 number and you will get the required help. Okay, so that's it then, students. Thank you so much for joining in, and I really admire your patience and interactiveness. And I'm really, really sure that you are going to make great future economics enthusiasts, and you're going to, achieve all your dreams. Okay, stay connected to us and stay connected with economics, because that's something which is the subject of the future. Okay, so all the very best, all of you all. All right. We will see you next weekend with the generalization and discussion about G3 and G4 paper 2. Okay, so stay tuned to that, and many such mentorship sessions are going to also happen on the app for free too. So stay tuned for that as well. Okay. Thank you so much for joining in. Take care, all of you. Bye bye.